Hi everybody, this is Sonia, and I hope everybody is having a great Sunday so far. I am going to do a curiosity cross-stitch tag, and this was by Donna, and I think this is a really fun tag. So, let's get started. Number 1, how long have you been stitching for? My very first cross stitch that I ever did was the little baby hanger that I've been talking about, and that was in 1988 or 89. I did quite a few little things like that for about 5 or 6 years, and then I was married and I had little kids, so I kind of stopped doing all of that. And I would say I have been more strongly into it the last 10 years. So I would say maybe 16 years total. Do you prefer framing your projects or making cushions or wall hangings? So far, I have just been framing. I don't know how to sew good enough to make cushions, and I had never thought about doing wall hangings. So I would have to say just the framing right now, and maybe one day soon I can maybe do a wall hanging and see how I like those. Number 3, who is your favorite designer? I don't really have a favorite designer. I have companies that I like. I like Jane Lynn. I like Dimensions. So far, those are really the only 2 companies that I have really worked with. I want to spread out, and I want to do some of these designers that I see everyone else doing, but that's going to take a little time. But I do, in the near future, want to do kind of go out of the kits and get into something like that. Number 4, what is the most you have paid for a design project, fabric, and floss? My biggest project where I have spent the most on it would be Tank the Bulldog. That was not a kit. I bought the fabric. I bought, all the floss, and there was a lot of colors in Tank. I would say there was probably 30 or so colors in him. There was a lot of color. So I would say I have probably spent $40, $50 on that project, because that so far has been my biggest project. How many hours have you stitched on a project in one day? I would say about 6 hours. I can get in, on a good day, I can get in about 6 hours a day. When other things are in the way, I maybe can do 3, but majority of the time it's 6 hours. Have you got any FFOs where you have a major mistake but you wouldn't notice? Yes. And if it's a big enough mistake that if I can step away from the project and look at it at a distance, if I can still see it, then I will try to redo it. But if I step away and I cannot find it, or I'm having to really struggle to see it, then I leave it alone. Because if I'm not going to notice, no one else is going to notice. And probably the mistake, even though I do notice it, other people probably wouldn't. But that's just me thinking somebody would. What is your favorite project, the one you are most proud of? I would say Tank. Tank the Bulldog it's my biggest project. It's the one that I've spent the most time on, and I am really, really proud of how it's turning out. So I would say Tank the Bulldog. If you lost your stitchy bug, what would make it come back? I would say watching the YouTube videos, watching the floss tubers out there, going on Facebook, being around the Stitch Mania people that I am with, the group, doing other projects, other crafts. I do have other hobbies. I crochet. I'm learning to knit right now. I do the cross stitch. I read. And I am getting into a little bit of scrapbooking. But that's kind of like the knitting. I'm kind of learning a little bit about that. But I would go to other hobbies while listening to YouTube videos of the cross stitch and what people are making, and get inspired again, and then sit down and be able to redo it again. Do you have to make sure you finish your projects, or can you just leave them for a couple of months and do new starts? Well, right now I have two things going. I have Tank the Bulldog, and I have a wedding sampler that I'm doing. Now, I can put down one of those, but I don't put them down for months. I put them down maybe for a couple of days, and then I work on the other one. I put that one down for a couple of days, work on the other one. I kind of go back and forth that way, but I have never actually put something down for a long period of time to do something new. I usually do something new while I'm doing my other work in progress, and just go back and forth with them so I don't get bored with them. And number 10, most hated type of stitch. I would say the French knot. I have the hardest time making the French knot. I did find a tutorial by Sherry that I watched, and I think I can do that through that video. And this cross stitch sampler, wedding sampler that I'm doing, has French knots. So this is going to tell me if I'm going to be able to succeed with the French knots or not. And I think that's really only about it. I have never done the specialty stitches yet. That is something else that I want to try. So I really don't know how difficult those will be. But for right now, I think it's just the French knot. Anyway, that is my curiosity tag. And I tag anybody else out there that would like to do this, that cross stitches. I have really enjoyed listening to all of the tags and watching the videos. They're really, really fun to see what everyone's thoughts are on things. So anyway, Donna, thank you so much for doing the curiosity tag. And thank everyone so much for subscribing, commenting. I do appreciate it. I will comment back. And until next time, everybody have a great week.